You ever get a letter that made you feel like a trespasser on your own land? Mine came with a big blue HOA logo on top, and the kind of phony politeness that only makes your blood boil. Community expansion proposal, it said. Seemed harmless enough at first glance. But 3 pages in, buried under buzzwords and corporate jargon, was the gut punch: authorization to construct 60 recreational cabins around Lake Whitney, under Clearwater Shore's HOA jurisdiction. Problem was, that lake was on my land, and I never signed a damn thing. I bought these 50 acres in rural Texas because I was tired of being told what to do. No neighbors, no curfews, no HOA dictating the color of my mailbox or how tall my grass could be. Just me, my dog Grady, and the quiet embrace of nature. I didn't move out here for community. I moved for space, but someone had a different plan. A few months after that letter, bulldozers rolled in like they owned the place. By the end of the week, it looked like someone dropped 60 IKEA kits in the woods and walked away. 60 cabins, beige, identical, soulless, no permits. No courtesy call, just arrogance on stilts. When I tried to stop the construction, the HOA president, a woman named Lucille Mitchell, smiled like a Botox commercial and told me, "The community approved it. You weren't on the roster." The roster. For my land. That's when I realized Lucille didn't just bend the rules. She erased them. But here's the part she didn't know. Nature doesn't play politics. And by the time the summer storm hit, those cabins weren't just illegal. They were driftwood. Stick around, because watching a HOA try to sue a thunderstorm? Yeah, you don't want to miss that. It all started a couple years back. After my 3rd job burnout and a failed engagement, I was done. Corporate life had sucked out every ounce of joy I had. I needed space. Not metaphorical space and literal, sky-wide, pine-scented air and dirt under the fingernails kind of space. That's when I found it. 50 acres of neglected lakefront property near Lake Whitney. Overgrown, untouched, and somehow still affordable. I didn't buy it to flip it. I bought it to breathe. Cleared it myself. Hauled timber. Put up a cabin the old-fashioned way with nothing but elbow grease. A generator. And Grady, my Labrador sidekick who only barked at raccoons and HOA board members. It wasn't much, but it was mine. No internet. Just solar power, rain barrels, and a garden out back. I read books by lantern light, watched storms roll over the lake, and built a life as quiet as the sunrise. And then came the surveyors. I rolled up one weekend to find 3 guys in neon vests standing on my south bluff, measuring something and arguing over clipboards. I stepped out of my truck, calm but direct. "This is private land. Can I help you?" One guy looked up, bored. "Just prepping for HOA community expansion. You'll want to talk to Lucille." I laughed. "You'll want to get off my land." He held up a laminated map with my name typed at the bottom, misspelled, forged. That Monday, I drove straight to the county office. Clerk scanned my parcel number, squinted at her screen, and said words I'll never forget. "That's odd. It's listed as communal green space, under HOA easement." That's when it clicked. Lucille had filed a zoning proposal back when the previous owner still held the deed, trying to reclassify the area as undeveloped recreation land. She submitted signatures no one ever verified. The county hadn't caught it because the sale transferred before the plan was contested. And now she was claiming my land as hers. I filed a formal dispute, sent a cease and desist, hired a lawyer. Lucille replied with a 3-word email. "Possession is everything." And with that smug motto, she rolled forward. Cabins started going up like weeds after rain. Prefab units with no permits, dropped in overnight by pickup trucks and overconfident dads with power drills. They bulldozed a 1/4 acre of my woods, flattened the trail I'd carved myself, and even put up a floating dock right on my fishing cove. I didn't just feel violated. I felt erased. Lucille acted like she was doing me a favor. "This project raises community property values," she chirped, sipping sparkling water at what used to be my campfire ring. I told her she was trespassing. She handed me a printout of a new community layout, featuring my land, and told me to take it up with the board. Then the fines started rolling in. Yup, they fined me. For obstructing community development. For unauthorized signage. I'd posted private property signs. They ripped them down. For hostile behavior after I told one of their contractors to get off my land. Then came the real kicker. They filed a claim stating my land had been abandoned, citing lack of maintenance, and began paperwork to take over stewardship via an obscure clause in their HOA charter. They sent a guy to film my property. He opened my chicken coop and let my hens out, then filmed them wandering around and submitted it as evidence of neglectful livestock conditions. That same week, a camper exploded after someone rigged a propane tank wrong. Grady nearly got hit by an ATV tearing through my garden. A child got lost overnight and they tried blaming me for inadequate lighting. But what finally broke me? I caught Lucille standing on my bluff, showing a group of retirees premium lakefront cabin views. She was selling my land. That was the last straw. I stopped yelling, stopped confronting, and started planning. First, I documented everything. Photos, drone videos, time-stamped footage of every cabin going up, every ATV tearing up my trail, every trespassing incident. I even recorded Lucille's open house pitch with a parabolic mic. Then, I called an engineer. He looked at the site, then laughed, actually laughed, and said, "These cabins are death traps." She built on a floodplain. Turns out Lucille ignored FEMA flood maps entirely. She filled in natural runoff paths and graded the terrain toward the lake. Her cabins were sitting ducks. I contacted my lawyer again, this time with a mountain of evidence. We filed suit, criminal trespass, forgery, environmental damage, attempted land theft. Then I hit every agency. I could think of: Texas Parks and Wildlife, EPA, FEMA, local news. I didn't even need to wait long. That year's spring rainfall broke records. The rain came in waves, first gentle, then biblical. On the third day, I couldn't see my garden from the porch. By day 4, the bluff cracked. I hiked up to the ridge, raincoat soaked through, and watched from under a tarp as the lake began swallowing Lucille's dream. Cabin number 4 slid first. The soil just gave out. Then came the docks, ripping loose like paper boats. One by one, the cabins floated, twisted, collapsed. They weren't anchored properly. They weren't insured. They weren't legal. Grady stood beside me, barking every time one tipped. Lucille stood across the flooded road, drenched, mascara bleeding, cell phone in hand, yelling into the void. Her insurance agent hung up on her. The EPA slapped her with environmental violations the same week. Then the county issued demolition orders. Cleanup cost? North of $250,000. The HOA was sued by half its members and dissolved by vote. Lucille? She was fined personally, forced to pay me damages, remediation costs and legal fees. And the cherry on top? I posted a for sale sign right outside cabin number 1's wreckage. Not because I was selling, just to make her sweat. Today it's quiet again. The lake's calm. Frogs have taken back the pond. Wildflowers grew where cabins once squatted. The only structure still standing is mine. Grady roams free. My hens are safe. The garden's doubled in size. I sip my morning coffee and listen to the wind. Whistle like a thank you. People think you fight with fire. But sometimes, you just let the rain do its work. Let this be a lesson. To Lucille, to her HOA, to anyone thinking paperwork can replace principle. Titles matter. Nature remembers. So what would you have done? Gone to war on day 1? Or waited for the storm? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you made it to the end, type "Justice served by the storm." I'll be down there with Grady, replying to everyone. And maybe, just maybe, I'll post the clip of cabin number 17 drifting, away like a bad idea that finally met its match. Because revenge? It doesn't always come with sirens. Sometimes, it sounds like rain on a tin roof.